In our presentation today for Churches for Streets of Hope, I want to remind you, our coalition partners, who we are and what we do in the community. I also will share our plans for the future and our current challenges and show you how you can help. Churches for Streets of Hope is a coalition of 30 congregations mobilizing the faith community to provide a warm, safe place to meet the basic needs of homeless persons with dignity and respect. Our vision started with the death of a homeless man on our community streets in the winter of 2009. One congregation felt powerless to make a real difference alone, but one person talked to another, and a coalition of congregations was formed. Together, they could provide a warm place for homeless men to sleep during the winter months and prevent deaths from occurring on the streets of Southeast Baltimore County. We operate a 16-bed cold weather shelter from November to April. The men come in at 6 p.m. and must leave by 7 a.m. They get dinner and breakfast. On extreme weather days, hours are expanded so the men can stay in a warm, safe location. This has saved lives, but it's very basic with no luxuries. Certainly not a preferred lifestyle. We're also able to offer the men a shower once a week and laundry about once a month. The number one cause of homelessness is lack of affordable housing. Our client advocates help the men find housing and provide application assistance for social services, recovery of personal identification, enrollment in GED programs, assistance for veterans, and health and dental care. In many ways, the homeless men we serve are quite ordinary. They laugh and cry. They love and get angry. They joke around. They get depressed. They all want to be warm, and they get hungry. Most are not happy with their situation and don't like depending on us for their basic needs. They are all underserved by our county's shelter system. Each year, we have some success stories. Our basic shelter keeps people from dying on the streets. Our advocacy program helps them to begin a new way of life so that we don't see them again next year. Last year, 14 men were able to move into housing, 8 found employment, 7 began receiving full disability or Social Security benefits, and 1 entered the Job Corps program. Our original shelter model was to rotate shelter locations using our coalition church buildings. However, none of the buildings meet Baltimore County Code regulations for group housing, and it has been a challenge to continue to operate with the constant threat of being shut down for code violations. Recent discussions with county officials indicate that in November 2014, drastic changes need to take place. The county fire marshal was willing to work with us this past year, and we remained at Zion UCC for most of the season. But he will not let us continue to operate in a non-code compliant building for any period of time next year. The building we used at Zion UCC cannot be upgraded to meet county code. It just doesn't have the structural integrity to support a sprinkler system. The number of churches in our coalition has increased to 30 churches, and we're happy about that. However, board of director positions go unfilled, general meetings are poorly attended, volunteer advocates so vital to our success. Well, we have only 2 of them, and one has had to decrease her time commitment. Right now, we desperately need a volunteer coordinator, 2 more board members, at least 2 more volunteer advocates, a county grant manager, and if we reopen next year, we will need volunteers to spend time with the men on a regular basis to help them with social skills and self-confidence. We also need some professional volunteers, a lawyer to advise us, a doctor, dentist, and nurse to provide occasional care for the men, and health care screening. Most of our funding comes from Baltimore County grants. Our request for an increase in funding from the county was not successful. We were told we would be lucky to get the same amount we had last year. This is where our money goes. Our biggest expenses are salaries and insurance. We currently don't pay anything for the use of the buildings. This year we did help Zion UCC with heating expenses because of our long stay in that location. Our future looks dim. The fire marshal was adamant that we needed a code-compliant facility. Our funds may be cut, and enthusiasm for our organization is waning. In a permanent location, we would provide services year-round and supply more than just basic needs. A building that could also provide low-cost permanent housing is ideal. Our goal at the beginning was to keep men from freezing on the street. With a day program, we would expand our counseling and advocacy programs. That would mean more men finding jobs and housing and not being on the street. Our challenges are great. However, the possibilities are limitless when doing God's work. How can you help? We need to raise funds to accomplish our goals. We can only obtain and maintain a permanent location with the contributions of our congregations and community. As a 501c3 organization, all donations are tax deductible. Support our upcoming gala and have fundraising events of your own. Also, donations of basic needs, such as paper goods and cleaning supplies, help us stretch the dollars we have. We have a critical need for volunteers as board members, client advocates, and to provide activities and some services for the men. By supplying job leads and sources of low-cost housing, you can change lives. We're asking you to rekindle your enthusiasm for Churches for Streets of Hope and help us turn this into this.
Because I have been blessed by thy great love, dear Lord, I'll share thy love again according to thy word. I shall give love to those in need. I'll show that love by word and deed. Thus shall my thanks be thanked.